Hey, it's Noel Mathias from Mortgage 360, and we are back. And today we are discussing the new 2-year mortgage strategy and how to beat the 5-year fixed, and more specifically, how to expand your runway in the amount of time that you can keep your rate on your mortgage low, low, low. But before we get into it, do me that favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and please, please, please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the new 2-year mortgage strategy. Now, back in March 2016, we posted a video, I'll link it up here, where we talked about the 2-year fixed mortgage strategy and why it was a better option than the 5-year fixed. And at that time, a lot of people still chugged along, took a 5-year fixed, even though we were advising them to take a 2-year. But those clients, those people who trusted us and who took that 2-year fix did extremely, extremely well. They had a 2.2% rate for 2 years as interest rates on a 5-year fixed were in the 2.59 to 2.79 range. They saved a pretty substantial amount of money, paid down their mortgages faster, and when they came up for renewal, they renewed into basically perfect timing in order to renew at a 5-year fixed at a low rate. They did very, very well. In fact, we ourselves used that exact strategy. We took a 2-year fixed mortgage with Scotiabank at 2.29 at the time. And in 2018, we rolled it back over into a variable rate mortgage, which is what we have now. And that's what we're talking about today. Variable rate mortgages and how to use them for the next 2 years in order to extend your runway at lower interest rates. So here's the reason why we're talking about this strategy, and it's because of what we know, what we've been told by the Federal Reserve Bank in the US and the Bank of Canada here in Canada. And what they basically said is you can expect interest rates to remain low for the next 2 to 3 years. And the reason why is simply because of what's happening in the economy with this pandemic, and specifically the amount of steam that it's taken out of the economy. And basically what they're saying is it's going to take a few years before we can start even thinking about increasing interest rates. So the problem becomes what happens if you take a 5-year fixed and in 2 or 3 years, as they're predicting, they start to increase interest rates at that time. Well, what it does is it creates a scenario where in year 3 and year 4 and year 5, they're potentially increasing interest rates. And if you've got a 5-year fixed, you're renewing into a higher interest rate environment. You could be renewing at 3% or 4% or 5%. Now, you could also be renewing into the exact same rates that we're at now because it may take 5 years before interest rates could go up. But the bottom line is that there's uncertainty past year 2 or year 3. And that 5-year fix creates a risk of having to renew into higher interest rates. So what we're recommending for our clients, and all of my clients have taken this strategy exclusively for the last 2 to 3 months, is take a variable rate today. Even though you can get a 5-year fixed at basically the same rate as you can get a variable rate, it makes more sense to take a variable rate so that over the next 2 to 3 years, we can kind of remain in this low interest rate environment. We know that interest rates are going to remain low. And then when interest rates do start to creep up, or if they start to creep up, then we can look at locking into a 5-year fixed, or we can look at refinancing into a lower variable rate mortgage. And what this will potentially do is, let's take that first strategy where we renew into a 5-year fixed into a play, and we say, okay, well, we're going to lock in year 3 into that 5-year fixed mortgage. Well, what we've done is we've essentially created an 8-year runway at lower interest rates. And if it was 2 years down the road that interest rates start going up, well, then we've created a 7-year runway. But at least we know that we're lengthening that time that we can keep our interest rates low. So it's a valid strategy. It's a super smart strategy. Every client that we've laid this out to has basically said, yep, count me in. They understand it. It's easy to understand. We know what's going to happen for the next 2 to 3 years. At least we think we know what's going to happen. And the Bank of Canada and Federal Reserve banks have told us what's going to happen. So we can take advantage of that information. And you know what? If things change, the most important piece of this strategy is to understand that you need to have flexibility. And if things change and interest rates go up faster, then we just lock in sooner. If interest rates don't start to go up, then we just hold on to our variables for longer. The biggest thing is to either make sure that you have the ability to pay attention to what's happening in the interest rate market, or have somebody like us who's available to manage the strategy for you and make sure that everything is taken care of when those interest rates do start to go up. And there's a whole bunch of other conversations around picking the right lender for this, picking the right variable rate, making sure you have flexibility. We've talked about that in a bunch of videos before, but at the end of the day, make sure you've got a good broker, make sure you've got somebody who understands the strategy, can manage it for you. If not us, then at least somebody who can do that. And you will be able to extend that runway at low rates for a very, very, very long time into the future. So if that information seemed useful to you, do me that favor again, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. By the way, the easiest way to know when interest rates are going to go up, subscribe to this YouTube channel, because as soon as they do, we'll be here to tell you about it. And for that YouTube algorithm, do me that favor, hit the like button. It's so important to make sure more people see this video, and I appreciate every single one of you that does that. Cheers. We'll see you next time.